Hello and welcome. In this video I'm gonna show you some of the opening traps that you need to know. First one, start with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6 and bishop c4. It is an Italian game. Here knight d4 start the trap. The best move is knight takes and e takes and d3. But if white takes the pawn and thinks it is a free pawn and also it's attack the f7, we have the move queen g5. Here is 4 moves for the white. The main move is knight takes f7, attacking the queen and rook. Here queen takes g2, attack the rooks. If the rooks go to the f1, we can go queen e4 check, and white has only 2 moves. If black with the bishop, there is a Smith-Morra. Bishop pinned to the king and knight f3 is checkmate. And if queen block, we just capture with our knight. The other option is knight g4. After d5, attack the bishop. If bishop takes, that's a mistake. We can take with our bishop. And if the pawn move to f3, we can just take, and here we want the rook and maybe the queen. But if the rooks move to f1 again, we go bishop e7 and checkmate in a couple of moves. The other move here is knight f3, queen takes g2, and if rook g1, knight defends the rook, we just take the knight with our knight and take the rook. The best move here is bishop takes f7 check after king d8, castle, and queen takes e5, c3 and knight e6. Black has a knight for 2 pawns. The next one is a Caro-Kann Trap. e4, c6 is a Caro-Kann, knight c3 and d5, knight f3, d takes e, knight takes e, knight f6, and queen e2 protect the knight. And here if black goes knight d7 to protect the other knight, we have here another Smith-Morra with knight d6 checkmate. There is another variation of this trap, e4, c6, d4, d5, knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop f5, again queen e2, again if knight d7 to protect this square for the knight, we have knight d6 checkmate. The next one is elephant trap. Let's start with d4, d5, c4, a queen's gambit, decline, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, knight d7. Here maybe white thinks this knight is pinned, so maybe he can win a pawn. But after c takes d5, e takes d5, if the knight takes d5, that's a blunder, because black just can take the knight and sacrifice the queen, because after bishop takes d8, black has a move bishop before check, and there is no escape for king. The only move is block with the queen, and after bishop takes d2 and king takes d8, black has an extra knight. Next one is Lasker Trap. d4, d5, c4, e5. It is the Englund counter gambit. If d takes e5, if we don't take and go d4, the point is if white go e3 to maybe we take and queen takes and bishop takes, black can just go bishop before check. And here is important, if bishop d2 blocks the check, we just take with our pawn and sacrifice our bishops. Here if white takes the three bishops, it's a blunder because e takes f2 is check, and king can't take it because that's a free queen. But if king go to e2, we take the knight and promote to a knight, so it would be a check. And if rook takes that, we have a bishop g4 check, and we can take the queen. In this position, after knight check, if white king goes to e1, we can check with our queen and bring our knight out to c6. Now if the rook takes, we takes with our knight and we are up a knight. The next one is Englund Gambit. It is very famous. Many times I play d4, my opponent play e5, play the Englund Gambit. It is after d takes, black attack the pawn with the knight, black attack with the queen. If white defends with the bishop, here we have a queen before check. The move is bishop d2, block the check. And after queen b2, if bishop c3 defend the rook, is a blunder and it is the trap. The move here is knight c3, very good move. And after that, if bishop b4, just go rook b1, and if knight b4, just go knight d4 to protect this pawn. Maybe in future I upload a game for Englund Gambit, so if you want not to miss that, make sure to subscribe. And here the trap after bishop c3, we just go bishop b4 to pin the bishop to the king, and if the queen wants to protect the bishop, we just can take, and if queen takes, it is a checkmate in 8 moves. The next one is fishing pole trap. After e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, rule opening, knight f6, and if go castle, we go knight g4. And here the trap only work if white go with h3, attacks the knight. Here we can go h5. Here in this position, white is better if it's go with the c3 and knight should go back. But if black takes that, that's a very bad blunder. After take with the h pawn, rook can see all the way to the king. And if white knights go back because the pawn attack it, it is a checkmate in a couple of moves. There is another move for the knight, knight h2, but again attack with the queen, block this square for the king to escape, also block this square with the knight, and in a couple of moves it is a checkmate. The next one is a trap with the Alekhine defense. This one is for white. After e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, knight f3, d6, bishop c4, knight b6, bishop takes f7 check. Here white sacrifice a full bishop. If the king takes that, knight g5 check, the king go back to g8, queen f3, white want this square checkmate, so the queen will protect that. And here if we go e6, we make another support for this square. If here black go g6, that's a really good move and black is better here. But if black go with h6 to attack the knight, it is a checkmate in 2 moves with the pawn. Another Alekhine defense trap, but this time for black. e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, d4, d6, knight f3, d takes, knight takes, c6, c4 to attack the knight, knight b4, a3 to attack the knight again. But here queen can take d4, both knights are hanging, so the queens take d4, and here knight c2 check is a fork and win the queen, and black is better in this position. The good move is a takes b4 and queen takes e5 check. The last Alekhine Gambit, e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, d4, b5 is a little mistake. After bishop takes b5 and c5, the trap begins. If white takes another pawn, we can go queen a5 check, fork the king and bishop, and after c3 we just capture the bishop. And if the white queen takes our knight, we go bishop b7, attack the queen. If knight attack our queen, queen a6, queen c4, and we can just take the g2 square and attack the rook. If queen takes a6, our knight queen a6, and black here is a really better. The next one is a Scandinavian defense. e4, d5, e takes d5, queen takes d5, knight c3, queen back to d8, bishop c4, knight f6, knight f3. Here bishop g4 pin the knight to the queen, but here we can go knight e5, say oh no my queen. If black takes the queen, it is checkmate in 1 move. But if black go bishop h5 to protect this pawn, we can just take the bishop again and say oh no my queen. And if knight takes h5, again it is a checkmate. The next one is a Stafferd Gambit Trap. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5, knight c6. Stafferd Gambit is a little bit dubious, but if the white go to the trap, it's a really fast game for black. Knight takes c6, d takes c6, d3, protect the pawn, bishop c5, and here if white go bishop g5, pin the knight to the queen. Again we can go knight takes e4, say oh no my queen, bishop takes d8, bishop takes f2 check, king e2, and bishop g4 checkmate. The next one is Budapest Gambit. After d4, knight f6, c4, e5, d takes e5, and knight g4, attack the pawn. If bishop f4 to protect the pawn, knight c6, again attack the pawn, knight f3 to protect the pawn. We go bishop b4 check, knight b d2, and queen e7. Here if a3, we just go a really great move, knight takes e5. If white takes our bishops, it is a mate with knight d3 checkmate. The pawn is pinned to the king. And if knight takes e5, we can knight takes e5, and if bishop takes, we first take the knight with our bishop with the check, and after that we take the bishop. In here doesn't matter which knight takes, we can take with another knight. Again the same thing if white takes bishop, and if take with a knight, knight takes e5, e3 takes with a check, and d6. And here is a good position for black. The next one is a Smith-Morra Trap. After e4, c5 a Sicilian, d4, c takes d4, c3, d takes c3, knight takes c3, e6, knight f3, bishop b4, pin the knight to the king, bishop c4, queen c7, attack the bishop. If queen e2 protect the bishop, we can go b5, bishop takes b5. Here we can take the knight with the check. After takes, there is another take with a fork. Queen d2, queen a1, take the rook. Be careful here, this bishop is protect the checkmate. After castle, we need to go back. Bishop attack the queen, queen goes h6 to protect this pawn, queen d6, knight e7, bishop backs to attack the queen, queen g6, bishop a3, create a battery to attack the knight, queen f6, protect the knight. If e5, knight f5, e takes f6, knight takes d6, bishop takes d6, and in the end black has a rook for a bishop. The last one is new Ark Trap. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, d6, d4, attack the pawn. We just attack the bishop, bishop b3, knight takes d4, knight takes d4. Here e takes d4, setting the trap. If the queen takes d4, it is a blunder. Because of c5, attack the queen. And if queen goes to d5 to attack the black's rook, there is a move bishop e6, attacking the queen, and black queens protects the rook. If white get a check, block with the bishop, And if white goes back, we don't repeat, but c4. Trap the white bishop. And here black has a bishop for 2 pawns. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see the second part, please subscribe. Thank you.